Welcome to the Wit and Wonder Podcast, a space where we hold the sacred, the messy, the magical, and the deeply human. I'm your host, Maria, writer, mentor, and devoted student of the human experience. Each episode is a soft yet honest reflection, an offering of perspective, and an invitation to return to your inner world. Here we go. Hello! It is so good to be back. I have been looking forward to recording this episode. I say that every time I record, but this week has just had so many different twists and turns to it, and recording this episode today is the grounding force to my energy at the moment. I really enjoy doing it, so here we are. And welcome back to those who have been tuning in, and to those who are new, thank you for being here. Today we are going to be talking about what happens when we embody our natural energy, and not just for ourselves today, but we're also going to be talking about how that flows into our relationships and our friendships. I am inspired to create this episode because I was talking to one of my really good friends that I've known since like junior high school, and she's been my best friend ever since. She is such an amazing soul, and we have so much in common in terms of how we love, how we service the world, how we see people. And uniquely enough, there's a lot of things that we do kind of see different in terms of religion and our background and our cultures. Today we're going to be talking about how each of us embodying our natural energy, embodying our gifts, and confidently being able to receive one another and also serve one another has led to so much love and just a soul friendship that I am entirely forever grateful for. That kind of leads us to how embodiment becomes our essence of service to the people that we love. So when we're in a place where we're embodying our gifts, our talents, our natural abilities, things that we might not even know honestly exist. There's so many things that I feel like I do naturally that I honestly thought were aspects of myself that I needed to fix or heal, when really they were the most beautiful and powerful parts about me. And the reality of the situation is that I have grown to really love those parts of myself. I have so many things that we could talk about in terms of how self-love accumulates to greater love for other people and a greater love for life. But in this instance, we're talking about how this becomes of service to the people that we love around us. And so now that I've been able to embrace a lot of these parts of myself that I naturally do reflect to people, their inner world, their powers, their gifts, their feelings, and their innermost personal dialogues and belief systems, I find myself being really attracted to friendships that can receive those parts of me. And the friend that I am referring to, shout out to her, her name is Dunya. She is somebody who has always been that for me. And I say that with so much joy, but also like shock. It's so incredible to be surrounded by people who can receive you way before you're even able to receive yourself. What a gift. And that is the reflection. So her embodying her gift of unconditionality and love and joy and freedom and being a lighthouse for people to explore their own power, and then she reflects that back, and she does it in such a graceful way, and she's able to vocalize and remind me of who I am. Her being able to do that for me has allowed me to grow and become more confident in myself. And in our conversation the other day, she was saying the same thing about me, where she was recognizing how my innate energy and my innate gifts have allowed her to grow and her to commit to her own path and journey and gifts and empowerment. So the question then becomes, how do we even recognize our natural gifts? I can tell you firsthand from my experience, it is not something that comes easily, because it can feel as though your natural gifts are hidden or experienced by those around you, but aren't always reflected back to you. The biggest part about it, I think, is what absolutely comes naturally to you. And so when I was learning about my intuition and the way that I communicate with people, the way that I love people, those weren't things that I saw as gifts. Actually, like I said earlier, I honestly thought that they were a bit of a burden because people couldn't love me for them. The beautiful part about it is that having a friend who could reflect to me who I actually am and remind me of how loving and kind I am, she was able to help me understand that being that reflection for people is a blessing, and that their rejection of my own essence is them rejecting themselves. I am always living my purpose when I'm able to be in that energy of strength and confidence in my ability to reflect. The beauty of these understandings is that when we're around people who can reflect those parts of ourselves, our ability to love ourselves grows and our ability to love other people grows. Because now, anytime someone comes into my life, I no longer have to attach to the way that they perceive me, or if they're going to reject me, if they're going to leave me, because I can understand the essence of what life is and what connection is, and the reflection of what happens in every single connection. And I can bring a more grounded sense of love to each connection, regardless of the outcome. I can bring a grounded sense of self into every connection, regardless of the outcome. And I can love people and have greater compassion for people, regardless of where they're at. I can also be more open to reflecting people's gifts to them, in the sense of being able to tell them, look, you're so good at this, or wow, you're so amazing at creating music, or you're so good at helping people strategize through money issues, or whatever that may be. I find that knowing and being able to recognize my innate gifts allows me the ability to be open to receiving other people's. And this balance of giving and receiving, when both people show up in integrity, we all grow, and we all grow in love. We're all growing with unconditionality. And most importantly, we're growing in love of individuality, while also understanding that we're all connected and how we're all perceiving the aspects of one another in the reflection of our own ability to recognize ourselves and perceive ourselves. And our consciousness is always going to be trying to make sense of everything and trying to put meaning to things, putting meaning to relationships, putting meaning to circumstances and endings or beginnings. And the reality, and something that we can note within those experiences, is that anytime someone comes into our life, there is always going to be something to learn. There's always going to be something to ground or embody more openly or even more powerfully. And I find this to be true because we might even have friendships that maybe aren't able to recognize us or see us as deeply as we wish they would. But the power of that is when we can see ourselves, and when we can finally recognize, okay, this is what comes naturally to me. This is what I love to do. This is what feels easy. This is what feels good. Their perception of us no longer matters. And instead of surrounding ourselves with people that can't see us, we're going to be more likely to be more confident to find people that do. My advice is, if you're in a position trying to figure out what those gifts are, try to put names to them. Things that helped me were like, what did I do naturally? And ironically, with my best friend, her and I always have like really deep conversations, and we're really open about the things that are going on in our life. And I recognized how easy it is for me to listen to her stories, listen to her experiences, feel them viscerally. Like, I feel energy on my skin naturally. And I realize that when I do feel those things, when I'm hearing people, when I'm listening to people, and I get those feelings, I can interpret them and I can communicate them back. And that wasn't something that I understood for a really long time. And it wasn't really until I started doing like energy readings or mentorship that I really was able to hone in on that skill. And it's always been a journey since, trying to recognize myself or see myself and love myself for those things. And being surrounded by people who can receive me and see me for those gifts and those innate experiences that I tend to bring into connection, is it allows me to really ground back to myself and find safety within myself and within my connections. So as much as we go about life and we connect with people who might reflect the parts of our perception and our consciousness to us that maybe don't feel as good or maybe feel scary to look at the same time, they're also reflecting back to us our greatest sense of self and our most powerful parts of ourself. Maybe it happens in separate people. Maybe you have someone in your life who is able to communicate to you and reflect back to you your lightness and your power. And maybe you have other people in your life that are more reflective of your fear and your self-consciousness. And both are beautiful in their own right. Both are needed. Both are necessary for consciousness to evolve and understand perception and understand who we are and become more grounded in the sense of who we are and develop a greater sense of love. It's just super important that we allow ourselves to take the accountability of our reflections that we're receiving, integrate them in the sense of figuring out what part of ourselves is looking to either be validated or seen or appreciated or loved, and then act accordingly. So whether that is setting boundaries with the people who maybe aren't reflecting those lighter parts of you, and maybe it's being more intentional with making time to spend with the people that do. Regardless of what that looks like for you, I hope that you can listen to this and take away the idea of how your authenticity and your natural innate essence of just being alive and being and showing up in connection with other people creates ripple effects regardless of what you think it looks like. And having friendships like I have with Dunya, I mean, it's important to be able to find people in your life that can consistently reflect back to you your light, just as much as you might come across people that reflect back to you your fears and your insecurity. I'm not saying that Dunya doesn't do that for me, because I'm always growing when I'm in her presence or when we're speaking. And I have other friends that do that so well for me as well. And I've learned to receive them. And regardless if they're telling me directly or if something that they're doing is allowing me to reflect on my own perception, regardless, like my friends have been able to be a safe place for me to grow and be reflective of the things that I'm experiencing. And that's what I hope for you. Is I'm not saying that you need to have perfect friendships or even deep friendships that accumulate to some sort of soul contract or whatever you may call it. Although having friendships and having connections that allow you that safety to investigate about yourself just as much as you investigate them is really important, because there's so much that you can learn within connections about yourself, and there's so much that you can receive and love through friendships specifically, also relationships and romantic connections or even familial connections, but that I feel is a whole other episode. And so what I'm saying is, regardless of what your friendships are reflecting back to you, there's always, always, always space for us to be able to understand how our consciousness is perceiving them and allow ourselves to then make choices based on that and how we want to feel, how we want to be able to show up in connection, and how can we be more embodied in our authenticity and our naturalness in order for others to do the same. And how do we then come together both or in pairs or groups and all be in that naturalness and understand how beautiful it is to be able to flourish together and feel safe to then receive each other's gifts and then also serve each other through our natural gifts. If that's something that you're wanting to experience, or that's something that you feel like that you are looking for and maybe don't have yet, I wouldn't count yourself out, because again, life is a process, it is a journey, and maybe there's things that you're learning for yourself right now, and maybe you need to be in a bit of a hermited state for you to be able to receive yourself. And the moment that you can allow yourself to be comfortable opening up to other people, allowing other people in to maybe be received without the fear of rejection, that's when you get to be able to learn to either integrate. If you are rejected, you get to integrate what you learn from that perception of consciousness. Or if you're not rejected, you get to learn how to receive and be received and allow that energy to flow and grow within those spaces. I would love to know if you guys have any questions or comments, so please leave them below. I know that this is a bit of a more nuanced episode. I feel like there isn't any direct sort of structure to what to do in these situations. It's more of me being able to reflect back to you that your authenticity is important and that your gifts innately of just you being alive and you being here and living and learning is the most beautiful part about the love that you have to offer. And your existence in and of itself is love. And you get to bring that into other people's lives and service them through that. And then other people can do the same for you. And that's all I hope that you really can understand through this episode. And if not, I hope you can take away more. And I look forward to recording another episode for you soon. Thank you so much for listening. And to all those that I have come across who have been able to reflect my highest self, my fears, my internal beliefs back to me, I am so grateful for you. All of you listening, I'm also grateful for you because you're helping me be received and heard just by showing up to this podcast. And so I really deeply appreciate you. I will talk to you all again soon. I hope this conversation reminded you of the beauty that unfolds when we simply allow ourselves to be, to show up in the truth of who we are and let that energy ripple through our relationships, our work, and our lives. So as you move through the week, let this be your gentle reminder, showing up as yourself is how you serve. Thank you so much for being here and for tuning in to this space with me. If this episode spoke to you, please share it with someone who reflects your growth back to you, or someone who may need a reminder of their own light today. If you would like to continue having conversations like these, you can find me over on Instagram at the Wit and Wonder Podcast or my personal account at mariab.mindset. Take care of yourself. Until next time.